I've finally gotten around to analyzing Solana, which I had been very hesitant to analyze before because I was not confident in its upside potential. But the rally we have been seeing over the past few days has me thinking otherwise. Big picture, my previous pattern was looking at this five-wave pattern in green here, in which we call this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern. And in this case, we saw our peak in May as the top of a third wave peak, and this relatively shallow retrace to be a fourth wave correction, just like with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And that would lead us with a good sizable rally to our probable fifth wave target, but not quite as lucrative as some of the other cryptocurrencies. With this setup, I was looking at a return of maybe 3, 4, 5x at most, assuming we made to the 0.618 extension of our 3-4 here. Well, as I mentioned, with the vigor of this rally that we are having right now, we've gone up about 3x over the past couple of weeks, I think, if I'm not mistaken on my count. It's making this purple pattern much more probable. So I'm not fully sold on this pattern yet, but when we look at the purple pattern, we're looking at the previous rally as the end of a first wave, and this pullback in early May to be a wave 2. And as we all know with some of the other cryptos, a 1-2 setup is what you look for because the third wave is the most powerful wave of all Elliott waves and can have some of the same potential with that. If that is the case, we are well on our way to some pretty good numbers. We could be looking at, what is that, 8.5 minimum return just to get into the subwave 3. I'm not sure why that's not purple, but it should be up there. And we have a crazy 40x potential as well. Look at that in just a second. In the short term, Solana has been rallying unusually. We looked at the logarithmic chart. When we look at the linear chart in the short term, this thing has just been lighting up. It's crazy because when we look at the previous peak, we have more than overtaken that previous peak we had again in May, around $58. We have since just skyrocketed. We've gone parabolic. Let me zoom back up to the closer time scale. I'm calling this completed. Well, this is a completed 1-2. I'm not showing the subdivisions on this wave, impulsive wave, because it's not relevant at this point, just because we've been rocketing off anyway. But they're definitely not standard. I'll tell you that much. Just leave it at that. So assuming that we have completed our 1-2, two-wave being complete on August 26th, a few days ago, we are well underway with our third wave here. The target, the minimum target would have been $153, but the way this is shaping up, I would not be surprised if we hit 168 on the third wave alone. And after a consolidation, our fifth wave would complete somewhere between 192 and 216. And I would lean towards 216 here just because of how robust this rally has been. In the big picture, when we look at where that wave 1 should end, 192 to 216, that does fall right in the range we want it to fall in if we are following our big purple pattern. So let me zoom up just a bit. Our ideal extension would be, again, somewhere between the 0.382 and 0.61 extension. We are well on our way to hitting that right now, assuming that this is the bigger one wave that we're about to hit. So here's where things could diverge a little bit. We do have strong resistance at the 0.618 extension, which is fairly standard for any kind of rally. If we can clear 238, the sky's the limit. What I'm expecting here is that we bump our heads on 238. We should pull back in a wave 2, maybe as low as $50. I really don't know if we're going to go that low, but it's too early to tell right now. If you're looking to buy Solana, that will be a good place to buy a lump sum. I recommend waiting for this wave 1 to complete, and then you can buy your lump sum as it goes down for a wave 2 correction. If you're dollar cost averaging, just keep dollar cost averaging. And if you're feeling FOMO right now, you don't want to miss out this rally, you could start deploying small sums, but I would not recommend dumping too much into Solana at this time, just because of how overbought we are with this rally. This thing could snap back hard in a wave 2. Now, there is the old pattern that I mentioned earlier, the green pattern. We may top in a larger wave 1 here, and then we may crash. But if this happens, it's very likely it'll take the rest of the cryptos along with it. So right now, it's not a large possibility. I'll keep an eye on that pattern. So once again, once you buy that lump sum at the wave 2 retrace, we're looking at a target of 1133 for our subwave 3 here. That would be again, 8.5x return. Eventually, our third wave overall third wave target would be somewhere between the 1.32 and 1.618 extensions. So that puts us in a range between 53.89, which would be that 40x number I mentioned just before, and 14,122. I don't think I'm going to do the math on that because, again, it's too much to think about right now. But the way this thing is rallying, we might see that upper extension. Again, just typically, if you hit the 0.618 extension on your first subwave, your third subwave will typically hit the 1.236, and your overall third wave, the fifth wave, would hit the 1.618 target. So we'll get there when we get there. Right now, Solana is moving very quickly, very swiftly. I did not expect this. So thank you to the viewers that recommended taking a closer look. If you're trying to buy, again, I recommend waiting till wave 2 dip. And until next time, thank you for watching and happy trading.